Hello, and welcome to another podcast of the Mac and Mac College Football Program right here on the Grueling Truth Network. My name is Sean McCormick, usually along with my son Ryan. We're taking care of business here. Ryan's unavailable today, going solo. Here we are, breezing through the NCAA football season. Week 11 already underway, and it comes with an upset which should shake up the ACC just a little bit. Unranked Duke manages to beat number 15 North Carolina by a score of 28-27 the other night, led by quarterback Daniel Jones. The Blue Devils throw a real monkey wrench at UNC season. Unlike Vince Vaughn and his cohorts in the movie Dodgeball, the Tar Heels just couldn't dodge a wrench, hitting them smack dab in the nose. Close but no cigar. That's been the mantra for Duke all season long, especially where the ACC is concerned. You have the close losses to number 5 Louisville and number 18 Virginia Tech, and a similar 3-point defeat to Georgia Tech. This time, Duke was able to manage it. Duke's Jones used his legs for 2 touchdowns and his arm for another, leading the Blue Devils to a first conference win. Now, big kudo has to go out for the Duke defense as well. Becoming stronger as the game went on, shutting down that high-powered Tar Heels offense in the fourth quarter. Believe it or not, the Tar Heels only managed 31 yards of offense in the final quarter. That's quite a feat, as North Carolina has been able to put up points all year and move the ball between the 20s as well. Now, no doubt North Carolina is going to be sinking in the polls. Question, just how far? Losing to a winless ACC team could actually knock UNC all the way out of that top 25. Let's move out west of it. Todd Graham definitely must be feeling more than just that Arizona sun on his back. The 13th-ranked Utah Utes demolished Arizona State similarly, 49-26. Really some great games earlier in the week. Both the Duke game and this game. Now, since starting the season at 4-0, the Sun Devils losing 4 of 5 games. Now, this was just a complete thrashing at the hands of the Utes. Sacks, and more sacks. Utah collecting 11 quarterback sacks in this game. Pretty much ASU's quarterback knows what mouthwash each of those Utah rushers uses because they've been up close and personal all night long. Offensively, it was a 181-yard, 2-touchdown performance by Joe Williams, and quarterback Troy Williams passing for 296 yards, 4 touchdowns throughout the game. Win keeps Utah in the thick of that Pac-12 South race as well. Just a reminder, you are listening to Mac and Mac on the Grueling Truth Network. Before we're going to take a look at some the games coming up this weekend. But before that, I want to take a few moments. We talked about Todd Graham and Arizona State maybe feeling some heat with his teams underperforming over the last few weeks. Well, the hot seat talk is back and in action. We talked about it a few weeks ago, going back to it, just kind of revisiting. It's going to happen, especially at this point of the season, and for so many of the coaches, and some of those coaches well known. Even some diehard supporters of Notre Dame. Now, they're clamoring for a change at the end of the year. 3 wins, well, it's not going to cut it anywhere in the FBS level, especially the top-notch teams, and especially for Brian Kelly and Notre Dame. Brian, my gosh, losing to a Navy team that was starting its backup quarterback. I know Navy, the triple option, gives the Fighting Irish fits every year. So much the case this year that the Irish were ended up on the losing end. Now, we all know how much impact that can have as far as the season goes on. Well, Kelly, he's already gotten vocal support from the athletic director of Notre Dame. But, guess what? If those Irish athletic donors aren't happy, nobody's happy. Just comes words in the wind, so to speak. Moving down a little bit, a familiar name is also coming under scrutiny in Cincinnati. Tommy Tuberville, lost it. Coming off the field just a bit, frustration, no doubt, over a loss to Brigham Young, losing to BYU, actually walking off the field, ends up listening to one of the fans, a heckler in the stands, telling all of a sudden he looks up and it was caught on camera, it was caught on audio, telling the fan go to hell and get a job. Talk about a coach's frustration, build up. One who hasn't lost it at one. You got to think about it. Who at work hasn't lost it one time or another? Thing is, we don't have thousands of fans at the workplace to hear our outbursts. Even without the post-game fireback, Tubby may see his days numbered at UC. Because the Bearcats, the faithful, as well as the administration, UC wants to see them get into a better conference. And the on-field Bearcats have had lots of problems this season, so wouldn't be surprising to see that change coming. Rumbles, going back to the ACC for a moment, Georgia Tech faithful not liking what Paul Johnson's putting on the field. He's had detractors on that multiple option offense since he took over at Georgia Tech, but the Yellow Jackets have been very competitive over the past, but now it seems like that support is going to wane a little bit. And really, I think it's kind of foolish. It's an offense that Johnson lives on. He lives and dies with it. When it does work, it really works. Johnson's not going to change. He'd even come out and say, go ahead and fire me. Still, there could be a new Yellow Jackets coach coming in the next season. Moving out west, next Gonzo coach could be, Mark Helfrich. Discussed it a few times a week ago or so when we were talking about the initial hot seat chatter. Well, his situation isn't getting any better. And I think a lot is really going to be based on whether or not you believe those rumors coming out of San Francisco and 49ers coach Chip Kelly actually wanting to pull a Nick Saban, leave the NFL, come back to the confines of the NCAA. I don't know. Chip Kelly keeps saying he doesn't, but where are those rumors coming from? This is the Mac and Mac podcast on the Rolling Truth Network. Okay, now let's focus on the top 5 teams all in action this weekend. I'm going to go straight down the list. Number 5, Ohio State, OSU, high off of that spectacular win over then number 10, Nebraska. Lot in the Big Ten thought this was going to be a great game, turned it out to be just ugly on the part of Nebraska. And the Buckeyes and Coach Urban Meyer looking to keep it rolling as they travel to College Park, Maryland, taking on the Terrapins. Maryland, a 28-point underdog against OSU. The 5-4 Terps are facing that renewed Buckeyes presence just 1 week after being pummeled by Michigan. How do you feel? You're going to go. You're playing number 3 Michigan. You get beat so bad. Now you're going to come up against number 5 Ohio State. Add to those woes, starting quarterback Perry Hills. He's on a wait-and-see basis. Basically, he's had shoulder problems all season. It was re-aggravated against the Wolverines last Saturday. By the third quarter, this one could be real bad. Or as Keith Jackson used to say on those old NCAA video games, hit the reset button. I'm not even going to try to name a score here. It could hit into the 70s. Number 4, Washington. Do the Huskies still have the doubters? Against 20th-ranked USC on Saturday, should be a great game in the Pac-12. Those doubts, are they going to be squelched? I don't know. They should be readily squelched. I would think so. The Huskies coming off a big win over Cal. Same for the Trojans with a big-time victory over the Oregon Ducks. Odds makers are saying it's Washington by 8 points. A lot is going to be on the shoulders of redshirt freshman Sam Darnold. Darnold is the reason USC actually has 5 wins in a row. Starting those times, out of those 5 games, 4 times the Trojans have won by at least 3 or more touchdowns. Washington's Jake Browning is definitely not a slouch at quarterback either. In fact, he has the best passer rating in the nation, coming after that 6-touchdown performance against California. Is USC up to the task? I think it's actually going to be close. This could be a real close one to call, but I think in the end, got to give the edge to the Huskies, 31-27. This is Mac and Mac College Football's program on the Grueling Truth Network. Number 3, Michigan, 17-point favorites against an Iowa team was just dismantled last week by number 10 Penn State. I honestly can't remember a Kirk Ferentz team getting beaten so badly. Iowa just took it, a real punch in the mouth for the Hawkeyes. Now, Big Ten teams, they tend to bounce back, but not sure if that's going to happen against that Michigan team. The Wolverines just playing so well. Also, as a longtime baseball announcer, the late Bob Prince used to call it, hidden vigorish is at play here. Hidden vigorish is when you would rather face a guy batting 3 for 3 than face a batter who's hitless in the last 3 at-bats. Law of averages sort of thinking. Well, Michigan has lost the last 3 times in Iowa. I don't think that even comes into play because the Wolverines are just so good. Looking for Michigan to come out on top, maybe a score of around 45-13. Clemson, nation's second-ranked Tigers hosting Pitt Panthers, 5-4 Panthers, 2-3 in the ACC. Clemson 9-0. Not exactly. I should say the Tigers are exactly where they want to be at this stage of the season. Clemson favored by 20 points. Just how tough is Clemson's defense? Everybody talks about Clemson's offense. Well, defense shut out a pretty daggone good Syracuse offense last week. Offense rolled as well in that 54-0 win. Pitt, on the other hand, has been lacking a lot of defensive punch. And that's not something you want against quarterback Deshaun Watson and that Tigers juggernaut offense. Pitt, frankly, has surprised me a bit. If you remember, way back in our Week 1 first broadcast, talking about up-and-comers, pleasant surprisers, well, I was the one that was on Pat Narduzzi's bandwagon thinking the Panthers would actually have a little bit of the coming out party in the ACC. Expected a pleasant surprise. Hasn't happened that way at all. And in this game, I got to say Clemson rolls 48-23. Now, number 1, Alabama. Well, what can you say? They're number 1. Roll Tide roll. 30-point favorites as they are hosting the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Bulldogs are a real SEC stunner. Last week, beating Texas A&M 35-28. Coach Nick Saban, no doubt, has his Tide reminded of how you don't take a team too lightly. I don't think anyone will expect the Bulldogs' backfield tandem of Nick Fitzgerald and Aris Williams to be able to duplicate what they did last week stats-wise. Fitzgerald, the quarterback, rushed for 2 scores. Ran for 182 yards. Williams recorded a career-high 140 yards on the ground. Can't see that happen against Bama's defense. Not going to happen at all. Let's just say that the Tide wins handily, 63-14. And that's going to wrap it up. Thank you for clicking into the Mac and Mac's College Football program right here on the Grueling Truth Network.